Okay, Assalamu alaikum students. Let's get started with October November 2025 paper 2 variant 1 AS physics paper. So let's get started with it. Let's scroll down a bit. Okay. Define acceleration. बेटा acceleration की definition क्या होती है? What is the definition of acceleration? Any genius in the chat? Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. एक्सेलरेशन की डेफिनेशन क्या होती है? रेट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ वेलोसिटी. A rocket is launched vertically from the surface of the earth. Figure 1.1 shows the variation of the velocity of the rocket with time t for the first 20 seconds after its launch. सही है भाई, velocity versus time graph आपको given है, perfect. Calculate the acceleration of the rocket. आपने acceleration of the rocket निकालनी है. How will you do that? You must remember that gradient of velocity time graph is equals to acceleration. बेटा इस ग्राफ का ग्रेडियंट कैसे निकालूं? This is your first point, 0 comma 0, and this is your last point, that is x axis में 20, y axis में this is what? बेटा ये क्या point है? How do I know? Can you realize you are going from 200 to 400? You are covering 200 units in how many boxes? बेटा 200 units cover कर रहे हो in how many boxes? 10 boxes. One box will be equal to how many units? 20 units. तो ये कितने boxes हैं? 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is 320. X axis में you have 20, y axis में you have 320. Can you take these 2 points, calculate the gradient? 0 comma 0, 20 comma 320. Can you calculate the gradient बेटा? Yes. क्या हो जाएगा? y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. This comes out to be 320 divided by 20, 0 0 cut, 1 and 16. Acceleration comes out to be 16 meters per second square. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Show that the height of the rocket above the surface of the earth at the time of 20 seconds after the launch is this. बेटा आपने बताना है that the height of the rocket above the surface of the earth at a time of 20 seconds after the launch is 3.2 kilometers. Height या distance कैसे निकालते हैं? If you are given the velocity time graph, the second key point that you need to remember. बेटा जब भी आपके पास velocity time graph आएगा ना, आपने दो key points remember करने हैं. First key point क्या है? Gradient of velocity time graph is equals to acceleration. Second key point क्या है भाई? Area under velocity time graph is equals to your displacement. Can you calculate this area under the velocity time graph? Can you calculate this area under the velocity time graph to calculate the displacement within the first 20 seconds? बेटा ये area निकाल सकते हो आप? जी सर बिल्कुल. How will we calculate this? This looks like a triangle. How will you calculate this area? 1 upon 2 into the base, that is 20, into the height, that is 320. 1, 10. This comes out to be 3200 meters. The distance covered or the height gained by the rocket in 20 seconds is what? 3200 meter. बेटा अब आपने मीटर को किलोमीटर में कन्वर्ट करना है. How will you do that? Divide it by 1000. 3200 divided by 1000. That comes out to be 3.2 kilometer is your answer. Simple. Let's further move ahead. The mass of the rocket in B is this. Okay, ये mass of rocket आ गया आपके पास. Assume that this mass remains constant. For this rocket, from the launch to its height at a time of 20 seconds after launch, calculate the gain in gravitational potential energy. बेटा gain in gravitational potential energy कैसे निकालेंगे? How will you calculate the gain in gravitational potential energy? mg, change in height. मास क्या है? 2.910 is the power of 6. Gravitational field strength क्या है? 9.81. What is your change in height? 3200. What will your change in gravitational potential energy come out to be? 2.910 is to the power of 6 multiplied by 9.81 multiplied by 3200. This comes out to be what? 9.1 10 raised to the power of 10 joules. Correct to two significant figures. This is your answer of change in gravitational potential energy. Simple as that. Easy peasy. Nothing complicated. आगे बढ़ते हैं. You have to calculate the gain in kinetic energy. बेटा change in kinetic energy या gain in kinetic energy का क्या फॉर्मूला होता था? 1/2 into mass into final velocity square minus initial velocity square. 1/2 what is the mass? Mass क्या है बेटा? 2.910 is the power of 6. Okay. 2.9 10 is the power of 6. What is the final velocity? Final velocity is 320 का square. Okay. Minus initial velocity u का square. Can you calculate the change in kinetic energy? Yes. Let's do that. 1 second. Yeah, this comes out to be 1.484 into 10 raised to the power of 11 joules. I will try to limit my answer up till three significant figures. 1.48 10 is the power of 11 joules. Beta, either you can give your answer till two significant figures or you can give your answer till three significant figures. I have given my answer till three significant figures, but if you are one of those who want to give their answer till two significant figures, you will only limit your answer up till the first decimal point. 1.5 10 is the power of 11 joules is also perfectly correct. बेटा अगर आप 1.5 10 is the power of 11 joules लिखते हो, that is also perfectly correct. This answer is also perfectly correct. Either you can write your answer till two significant figures, three significant figures, it doesn't matter in the examination. Determine the average power output of the rocket engine. Assume that resistive forces are negligible. बेटा पावर का क्या फॉर्मूला होता है? पावर इज इक्वल्स टू एनर्जी ओवर टाइम, है ना? पावर इज इक्वल्स टू एनर्जी ओवर टाइम. What was your energies? 9.1 की gravitational potential energy, kinetic energy. Add both of them. 9.110 is the power of 11 plus 1.5 into 10 is the power of 11 divided by time. बेटा what is your time? ये 20 seconds divide कर दो. What will your power come out to be? Geniuses, can you calculate the power? Power comes out to be 1.2 10 raised to the power of 10 watts. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Define pressure. Pressure की क्या definition होती है बेटा? Do you remember? Force per unit area is your pressure की definition. Force per unit area is your pressure key definition. Explain how hydrostatic pressure results in an upthrust acting on a solid object immersed in a fluid. बेटा हमें बताना है हाउ डज प्रेशर रिजल्ट्स इन द फोर्स ऑफ अपथ्रस्ट. कोई आइडिया है आप लोगों को? लकीली मैंने जो अपने लेक्चर्स में पढ़ाया है वो अपथ्रस्ट को इसी तरह पढ़ाया है. So if you have studied from my lectures, you will exactly know ये क्या चीज़ की बात हो रही है. But if you have not, let's draw a diagram. Let's say you have a beaker like this, perfect. और let's say इस beaker में water भरा हुआ है. And let's say you have immersed an object inside this beaker. And let's say you have immersed an object inside this beaker. Can you realize the pressure at the top surface will be less compared to the pressure at the bottom surface? Why? हाँ जी, ऐसा क्यों होगा? Because the top surface is at a lesser height compared to the bottom surface. Beta, since the bottom surface is at a greater height compared to the top surface, the pressure at the bottom surface will be greater than the pressure at the top surface. This difference in pressure, pressure bottom minus pressure top, this difference in pressure results in a force known as upthrust. So how will you write it? How will you write this entire thing? You will say, I guess I have given a complete explanation. Now, how will you write this? You will say, there is a difference in pressure between the top and bottom surfaces of the object. There, there is a difference in pressure between the top and bottom surfaces of the object. Simple. What will you further say? Beta, further क्या कहोगे? The bottom surface experiences a greater pressure. Hence, the force on the bottom side is much greater compared to the force on the top side. तो ये लिख लो. The bottom surface experiences a much greater pressure, a much greater pressure compared to the top surface. Hence, hence, the force on the bottom surface is greater, resulting in an upward resultant force. Simple. Dot. Now, this question was of 2 marks, but I have given you an answer that will suffice for even 3 marks. बेटा मैंने आपको 3 marks तक का आंसर भी लिखवा दिया है. So don't worry, अगर ये सवाल 3 mark के लिए भी आता है तो you can easily pen it down. Okay, let's further move ahead. A small steel ball of radius r and mass m fall vertically. अच्छा fall कर रही है vertically at terminal speed. Okay, so the speed is constant. बेटा whenever we have constant speed, do you remember one case? जब भी आपकी स्पीड कांस्टेंट होती है टर्मिनल स्पीड होती है रिजल्टेंट फोर्स इज जीरो. इफ योर रिजल्टेंट फोर्स इज जीरो व्हाट डज दैट मीन? योर अपवर्ड फोर्स विल बी इक्वल टू द डाउनवर्ड फोर्स. ठीक है. Through oil, the viscous drag force acting on the ball is given by this equation. अच्छा जी, viscous drag force acting on the ball is given by this equation जिसमें 6 है, pi है, then you have n क्या है भाई? N is a property of the fluid known as viscosity, R is your radius, V is your velocity. Perfect. Okay, nothing complicated. On figure 2.1, draw labeled arrows from the ball to show the direction of 3 forces that act on the ball as it falls. First of all, always remember, whenever your ball is falling in a fluid, बेटा जब भी आपकी बॉल फॉल कर रही है in a fluid such as oil, इसके ऊपर एक अपथरस की फोर्स लगेगी. एंड अपथरस के बारे में ये याद रख लो, अपथरस्ट ऑलवेज ऑलवेज एक्ट्स अपवर्ड्स. अच्छा जी. देर इज एन अदर फोर्स जिसके बारे में आप 100% श्योर हो सकते हो, दैट इज वेट. वेट ऑलवेज acts downwards. So out of the 3 forces, you already know the direction of 2 in every question. Weight always acts downwards, upthrust always acts upwards. Now the only force that is remaining is the drag force. Sir, what will be the direction of drag force? Now remember a key point. Drag forces, resistive forces, always oppose motion. Beta, drag forces always oppose motion. That means if the ball is falling, अगर ball नीचे की तरफ गिर रही है, where will the drag force act? Upward. Let's label this as capital D. Always remember, drag force always acts opposite to the motion. अगर आपकी ball fall कर रही है, drag force upward act करेगी. हमेशा याद रखना. You can erase these annotations. These were just for you to remember. Remove this. चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now you have to determine the SI units of N. How will you determine the SI units of N? Again, homogeneity. Let's bring down the drag force equation. D is equals to 6 pi and nRV. nRV. Okay. So first of all, D is a force. Beta D drag force hai. Do you remember the SI base units of force? Do you remember the SI base units of force? kg m minus 2. Then 6 pi is a constant. जो चीज constant होती है unit की calculations में we ignore that. N can come like this. R is your radius. Radius के SI base units meter. V is your velocity. Velocity के SI base units meter second minus 1. Simple. Can you multiply them? Yes. kg m s minus 2 n meter square s minus 1. Divide it to the left side. Let's take this entire thing to the left side into the denominator. The units of n equal to kg ms minus 2 divided by what? m2 s minus 1. Take m2 and s minus 1 to the top side. kg m1 minus 2 s minus 2 plus 1. kg m minus 1 s minus 1 are your units of viscosity. ठीक है, units of viscosity आ गए, easy peasy. आगे बढ़ते हैं. The oil has a density of this, viscosity of this. The steel ball has a mass of this. Okay, a radius of this. Perfect. Calculate the या show that the upthrust acting on the ball is this. किस तरह show करेंगे? Do you remember the formula of upthrust? Upthrust is equal to the density of the fluid, gravitational field strength, volume of the object. What is the density of the fluid? 920. Gravitational field strength क्या है भाई? 9.81. Can you calculate the volume of the object? Yes, can you calculate the volume of the object? Can you realize this is a steel ball? A ball is a sphere. Do you remember the formula of volume of a sphere? बेटा वॉल्यूम ऑफ स्फीयर का फॉर्मूला याद है 4/3 pi r cube. So instead of V naught we will write 4/3 pi. R की वैल्यू क्या है? 4.2 10 raised to the power of minus 3 का cube. What does your upthrust comes out to be? 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3 newtons is your upthrust. Simple, nothing complicated here. Let's further move ahead. Now you have to determine the terminal speed V of the ball. How will you determine terminal speed V of the ball? Now देखो बेटा, हमने शुरू में एक चीज़ आइडेंटिफाई की थी. शुरू में एक चीज़ आइडेंटिफाई की थी. हमने क्या आइडेंटिफाई किया था भाई? शुरू में हमने ये आइडेंटिफाई किया था कि दैट दिस बॉल इज फॉलिंग एट कांस्टेंट स्पीड द अपवर्ड फोर्सेस विल बी इक्वल टू द डाउनवर्ड फोर्सेस. ओके, व्हाट आर द अपवर्ड फोर्सेस? Upthrust plus the drag force. What is the downward force? The force of weight. Have you calculated upthrust? Yes, sir. Upthrust की value is 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3. 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Do you have the value of drag? No. How will you calculate weight? Any ideas? Do you have the mass? Yeah. सर हमारे पास मास है हम वेट निकाल सकते हैं. How will you do that? Weight is equals to mg 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3 plus drag force. मास की वैल्यू क्या है बेटा? मास की वैल्यू इज 2.4 10 raised to the power of minus 3. 10 raised to the power of minus 3. ग्रेविटेशनल फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ की वैल्यू क्या है? 9.81. 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3 plus drag force. ये आंसर क्या आ जाएगा? राइट साइड पे 2.4 10 raised to the power of minus 3 9.81. This comes out to be 0.02354. Let's take it to the other side. Let's take this entire 4 digit, yeah, 4 significant figure to the left side. Yeah, let's do one more thing. Let's not move this. इसको move नहीं करते. Let's take 2.8 into 10 raised to the power of 3 towards the right side. The drag force comes out to be what? 0.02354 minus 2.8 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Let's calculate the drag force. 1 second. Yeah, the drag force comes out to be 0.02074. This is your drag force. बट बेटा आपको ड्रैग फोर्स नहीं चाहिए थी. ओह, वेयर इज द क्वेश्चन? You need the terminal velocity v of the ball. First of all, let's write the drag force again. 0.02074 Newton is your drag force. Yeah, let's do one thing. Let's bring this entire calculation इसी वाले पार्ट में, ठीक है? क्योंकि उस पार्ट की कैलकुलेशन है, सिर्फ डायग्राम मुझे आप लोगों को दिखानी थी जस्ट फॉर रेफरेंस, तो मैंने यहाँ पे कैलकुलेशन की है. लेट्स टेक इट टू द डाउन साइड इस तरह से, ठीक है? नाउ हाउ विल यू कैलकुलेट द टर्मिनल वेलोसिटी? ड्रैग फोर्स का क्या फॉर्मूला है भाई? ड्रैग फोर्स का ये फॉर्मूला 6 pi n r v. सो ड्रैग फोर्स की जगह हम अब रख देंगे 6 pi n r v. ठीक है? व्हाट इज द वैल्यू ऑफ n? इन विस्कोसिटी की वैल्यू गिवन? यस, 4.7. प्लग इन प्ले. 6 pi इंटू 4.7. आर की वैल्यू गिवन है बेटा, रेडियस की वैल्यू गिवन है. यस, 4.2 10 raised to the power of minus 3. ओहो, 4.2 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Do you know the value of velocity v? नहीं. Let's put it with a symbol v. 0.02074. Can you calculate this velocity v? Yes, निकाल सकते हो easily. 0.02074 divided by what? 6 pi 4.7 into 4.2 10 raised to the power of minus 3. Let's calculate the answer. This is a hell of a lot calculation. I hope we get the correct answer. 4.7 into 4.2 10 raised to the power of minus 3. The answer of velocity comes out to be what? 0.0557 according to 3 significant figures meters per second. If you want to write your answer till 3 significant figures, this is your answer. If you want to convert it till 2SF, that is also fine. This is your answer. Both the answers will be considered correct. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Okay. A wire has length L, cross-sectional area A. Okay, let's highlight this. I think this might come in handy. Length L, cross-sectional area A. The wire is made from a metal that has a Young's modulus E, resistivity P. Define the Young's modulus of a material. भाई आपने Young's modulus of a material define करना है. What will you say? A ratio of stress over strain. Yeah, ratio of stress upon strain. Yeah, ratio of stress to strain, whatever you want to say. State an expression in terms of sum or all of L, A, E and resistivity for the resistance R naught of the wire. बेटा रेजिस्टेंस का फॉर्मूला क्या होता है? रेजिस्टिविटी इनटू लेंथ divided by area. Simple. Show that the spring constant K naught of the wire is given by this. Beta, do you remember Young's modulus का formula? Young's modulus is equals to FL over AE. Can you realize F over E can be replaced by another variable? Do you remember Hooke's law? F is equals to KE. F divided by E is equals to what? K. F divided by E की जगह आपने क्या रख देना? K. E is equals to KLA. Can you make K the subject? Yes. Multiply A to the other side. EA divided by L is equals to your spring constant K not. Simple. All good up till now. कोई मसला कोई परेशानी you can ask right away without hesitation. Let's further move ahead. Uh, okay, so let's read this question. The wire is stretched within the limit of proportionality by a tensile force F. Assume that any changes in the cross sectional area of the wire are negligible. Sir, इसका मतलब क्या है? We didn't understand this statement. बेटा इसका मतलब ये है कि आपका area is remaining constant. Perfect. On figure 6.1, sketch the graph for the variation with force F of the resistance of the wire. How will you do that? Resistance versus force का ग्राफ किस तरह बनाएंगे सर? We don't know how to do this question. बहुत easy है. Do you remember resistance is equals to resistivity into length divided by area? From the above statement, you know area is constant. Resistivity of a material also remains constant. Resistance becomes directly proportional to length. If you are applying a tensile force, it increases the length of the wire. It increases the resistance of the wire. अगर आप टेंसाइल फोर्स लगा रहे हो बच्चा तो क्या होगा? आपकी लेंथ इंक्रीज होगी. लेंथ इंक्रीज होने की वजह से रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज हो जाएगी. सिंपल. नाउ हियर यू हैव टू बी अ लिटिल केयरफुल. जब आपकी फोर्स जीरो है, when your force is zero, still you have a resistance of R naught. As you keep on applying the force, length increases, resistance increases. जैसे जैसे आप फोर्स इंक्रीज कर रहे हो लेंथ इंक्रीज हो रही है. जैसे जैसे लेंथ इंक्रीज हो रही है रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज हो रही है. सिंपल. लेट्स फर्दर मूव ahead. On figures 3.2, sketch the graph with F of the spring constant K of the wire. What a simple, silly question. Always remember the spring constant of the wire is a material property. Is a material property. Sir, what do you mean by that? It remains constant no matter how much force you apply. बेटा अगर आप Hooke's law obey कर रहे हो, if you are remaining within the limits of Hooke's law, your spring constant remains constant no matter how much force is applied. So how will you draw the graph? Graph कैसे draw होगा? Horizontal line like this. Simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Okay, so let's read out this question. Copper has a resistivity of this, Young's modulus of this, diameter of this, resistance of this. You have to show that the length of the copper wire is this. So, beta, do you remember the formula of resistance? Resistance is equals to resistivity into length divided by area. Can I make length the subject? Can I somehow make length the subject? Yes. Resistance into area divided by resistivity is equals to length. Perfect. What is the resistance of the wire? 0.034. How will you calculate the area? You are given the diameter. बेटा area का formula याद है? Area is equals to pi over 4 d square. Pi over 4 into diameter की value क्या है? 1.6 10 is the power of minus 3 का whole square डिवाइडेड बाय योर रेजिस्टिविटी। रेजिस्टिविटी की वैल्यू क्या है? 1.8 10 raised to the power of -8. What does your value of length comes out to be? Now, you can calculate the value of length. The value of length will obviously come out to be 3.8 meters is equals to length. Some students might be confused कि सर आपका ये वाला formula of area कहाँ से आया? We have never studied this. But always remember area is equals to pi r square. Radius is equals to diameter over 2. Plug in this radius की value here. Area is equals to pi into diameter over 2 का whole square. Area is equals to pi d square over 4. This is your formula of area. ठीक है, तो ये भी formula of area है, ये भी formula of area है. In this first formula we are using radius. In this second formula we are using diameter. Okay. Use the equation in B part 2 to calculate the spring constant of the wire. You have to calculate the spring constant of the wire. Equation कौन सी है? ये वाली. EA divided by length. Okay. The spring constant is equals to EA divided by length. What is the Young's modulus? Young's modulus क्या है? 1.3 10 raised to the power of 11. What is your area? Pi over 4 into diameter की value क्या है भाई? 1.6 10 raised to the power of -3 का whole square divided by length. What is your value of length? 3.8. Can you calculate spring constant K naught? हाँ जी, K naught की वैल्यू निकाल सकते हो, स्प्रिंग कांस्टेंट की वैल्यू निकाल सकते हो. यस, दैट कम्स आउट टू बी 6.9 10 raised to the power of 4 Newton per meter. Simple. Let's further move ahead. State what is meant by diffraction of a wave. अच्छा जी, diffraction of a wave का क्या मतलब होता है? Spreading of waves as they pass through a narrow gap. यहाँ पे लिख लो. Spreading of waves as they pass through a narrow gap. Simple. Let's further move ahead. आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. क्या लिखा हुआ है? A beam of vertically polarized light of wavelength 540 nanometer is incident normally on a diffraction grating as shown in figure 4.1. अच्छा जी, wavelength आपकी 540 है. ओके. The diffraction grating has line spacing of this. ये आपकी क्या आ गई? Value of D आ गई. Perfect. The light transmitted by the diffraction grating illuminates a circular screen. The diffraction grating is at the center. ठीक है. The central bright fringe is formed at point O. अच्छा, यहाँ पे आपके पास central bright fringe है. ठीक है. With an intensity of I naught. इसकी intensity हो गई I naught. Perfect. P is a point on the screen where the line XP is at a variable angle to the line XO. ठीक है. The intensity I of the light on the screen P varies with angle theta. ठीक है भाई, intensity वेरी कर रही है जितना जितना आप angle theta को वेरी कर रहे हो. Perfect. Show that the angle at which the first order bright fringe is formed is 6.2 degrees. कैसे शो करेंगे? D sin theta is equals to L lambda. What is your value of D? 5 into 10 raised to the power of -6. Angle we have to calculate. N is 1. Why is N 1? Because this is the first order bright fringe. Wavelength की वैल्यू क्या है? 540 nanometers. 540 10 raised to the power of -9 beta. Can you calculate sine? Sine theta is equals to 540 10 raised to the power of -9 divided by what? 5 into 10 raised to the power of -6. Can you calculate theta? Yes, sine inverse 540 10 raised to the power of -9 divided by what? 5 into 10 raised to the power of -6. Can you calculate the angle theta? This comes out to be 6.2 degrees. Simple. Let's further move ahead. Determine the value of theta at which the second order bright fringe is formed. अब हमने एंगल निकालना है. when n is equals to 2, what you will do? T sin theta is equals to n lambda. T की वैल्यू क्या है? 5 into 10 raised to the power of -6 sin theta 2. n की वैल्यू क्या है? 2. वेवलेंथ की वैल्यू is 540 10 raised to the power of -9. Can you calculate sin theta? Yes. 2 into 540, 10 is a power of minus 9 divided by 5 into 10 is a power of minus 6. Can you calculate the angle? Theta is equals to sine inverse 2 into 540, 10 is the power of minus 9. 5 into 10 is the power of minus 6. Can you calculate angle theta? Anji. Angle theta for the second order maximum निकाल सकते हो? Yes. 12 degrees. Simple as that. Nothing complicated. तो आपका सेकंड ऑर्डर मैक्सिमा फॉर्म हो रहा है 12 डिग्रीज, फर्स्ट ऑर्डर मैक्सिमा फॉर्म हो रहा है 6.2 डिग्रीज. परफेक्ट. On figure 4.2, sketch the variation with intensity for the values of theta from negative 15 to positive 15. हमेशा याद रखो, when your angle theta is 0. When your angle theta is 0, that is at the central bright fringe, you will have the maximum intensity, okay? Then at the angle of 6.2, है ना? 6.2 पे आपका first bright fringe है. Where will 6.2 be? This is 5, this is 10. You are covering 5 units in how many boxes? 10 boxes. तो एक बॉक्स कितने यूनिट्स के इक्वल होगा? 0.5 यूनिट्स. This becomes 6. This will be 6.2. So at a value of 6.2 degrees, you will have your first bright fringe. और उसके बाद 12 degrees पे, that is somewhere here, you will have your second bright fringe. Now please look carefully. मैं एक डायग्राम किस तरह से बना रहा हूँ, दूसरी आप खुद बना लोगे. Can you realize how did I do this? बेटा कैसे बनाई मैंने ये? Your maximum intensity should be at I naught. Then your peak intensity should again occur at an angle of 6.2 degrees. Then again, your peak intensity should occur at a value of 12 degrees. Simple. इसी तरह वहाँ पे बना लो आप. At a value of 6.2, you will have peak intensity यहाँ पे. Then at 12 as well, you will have peak intensity. Negative 12 कह लो. Can you connect the dots? Yep. ठीक है बेटा, हमेशा याद रखो, आपकी पीक इंटेंसिटी will occur at the angles that you have calculated. ये जो एंगल आपने निकाले ना 6.2 डिग्री, this is for the first bright fringe. ये किसके लिए? फर्स्ट ब्राइट फ्रिंज या फर्स्ट ब्राइट ऑर्डर. ये आपके पास सेकंड ब्राइट फ्रिंज के लिए है. तो इन एंगल्स पे आपकी इंटेंसिटी मैक्सिमम होगी. 6.2 पे मैक्सिमम है, 12 पे मैक्सिमम है, हेयर एज वेल. नेगेटिव 6.2 पे मैक्सिमम है, नेगेटिव 12 पे मैक्सिमम है. बाकी सारों पे आपकी इंटेंसिटी जीरो की तरफ अप्रोच करेगी. एंड द हाईएस्ट इंटेंसिटी विल बी एट द सेंट्रल ब्राइट फ्रिंज. यू गेट अ 3 on 3 फॉर दिस सैंपल. अच्छा जी. A polarizing filter is placed in the path of the light beam that is incident on the diffraction grating in figure 4.1. Okay. The transmission axis of the filter is 45 degree to the vertical. Okay. बेटा अगर आपका थीटा 45 डिग्री के इक्वल हो गया है, व्हाट विल हैपन टू द इंटेंसिटी? इंटेंसिटी ट्रांसमिटेड इज इक्वल टू आई नॉट कोसाइन स्क्वायर 45. कैन यू कैलकुलेट द आंसर? ओह, इसका मतलब ये है कि जो अब आपकी इंटेंसिटी ट्रांसमिट हो रही है, दैट विल बी हाफ ऑफ द प्रीवियस वैल्यू. ओके. सजेस्ट हाउ द इंटेंसिटी varies with angle theta for the light on the screen compared with the answer in B part 3. एग्जामिनर कह रहा है कि अब आपका ग्राफ किस तरह बनेगा. हाउ विल योर ग्राफ बी ड्रॉन इफ यू हैव अ पोलराइजिंग फिल्टर एट एन एंगल ऑफ 45 डिग्रीज. देखो बेटा, अगर आपके पास एक पोलराइजिंग फिल्टर है एट एन एंगल ऑफ 45 डिग्रीज, तो ऑल द मैक्सिमम वैल्यूज या ऑल द पीक वैल्यूज ऑफ इंटेंसिटीज विल हैव, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो ये लिख लो, because you can see here all the peak, yeah, maximum values of intensity will half. सर व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दिस? अच्छा, लोगों को इसका मतलब नहीं पता होता। अच्छा, व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय दिस सर? बेटा देखो, अगर पहले आपका आई नॉट 10 बॉक्सेस पे बन रहा था ना, तो अब आपका आई नॉट 5 बॉक्सेस पे बनेगा। पहले अगर आपका फर्स्ट ब्राइट फ्रिंज 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 बॉक्सेस पे बन रहा था, तो अब ये 3.5 बॉक्सेस पे बनेगा यहाँ पे। पहले आपका सेकंड ब्राइट फ्रिंज 4 बॉक्सेस पे बन रहा था, तो अब 2 बॉक्सेस पे बनेगा। तो इस तरह पूरी की पूरी इंटेंसिटीज हाफ हो जाएंगी। All air intensities will get halved. Okay, but there will be one thing that remains same. बेटा जिस एंगल पे इंटेंसिटी मैक्सिमास बन रही हैं वो सेम रहेंगे। यू कैन से द एंगल at which peaks slash maximum occurs remains same। जिस एंगल पे पीक या फिर मैक्सिमम अकर कर रहा है वो सेम रहेंगे। आगे बढ़ते हैं। डिफाइन किरचॉफ्स फर्स्ट लॉ। किरचॉफ फर्स्ट लॉ क्या कहता था? द करंट arriving at a node या sum of currents arriving into a junction is equals to the sum of current leaving out of the junction। तो लिख लो, sum of currents arriving into the junction is equal to the sum of currents leaving out of the junction। सिंपल। आगे बढ़ते। Figure 5.1 shows a circuit containing a thermistor T that has a negative temperature coefficient। अच्छा जी, thermistor T है that has a negative temperature coefficient। Battery है with an EMF of E। You have an internal resistance, you have an external resistor। Perfect। The thermistor has a resistance R naught at a temperature of 0 degree centigrade। ठीक है। On figure 5.2, sketch a possible variation of the resistance of the thermistor with the temperature between 0 to 100 degree centigrade। Always remember, थर्मिस्टर का टेम्परेचर अगर इंक्रीज करेगा, इट्स रेजिस्टेंस विल डिक्रीज। यू विल हैव अ ग्राफ लाइक दिस। ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, थर्मिस्टर का टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज करेगा, रेजिस्टेंस डिक्रीज करेगी, लाइक दिस। परफेक्ट। आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा। विथ रेफरेंस टू द करंट इन द सेल, एक्सप्लेन व्हाई द करंट इन रेजिस्टर आर decreases with increasing temperature of the thermistor। क्या कह रहा है एग्जामिनर? एग्जामिनर कह रहा है कि अगर आप थर्मिस्टर का टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज करोगे तो व्हाई विल द करंट इन दिस रेजिस्टर डिक्रीज? चलो देखते हैं स्टेप बाय स्टेप। इफ यू इंक्रीज द टेम्परेचर ऑफ द थर्मिस्टर, यू हैव जस्ट सीन द रेजिस्टेंस ऑफ द थर्मिस्टर विल ड्रॉप। अगर थर्मिस्टर की रेजिस्टेंस ड्रॉप करेगी तो ओवरऑल सर्किट की रेजिस्टेंस या द टोटल रेजिस्टेंस ड्रॉप्स। If the total resistance of the circuit drops, the total current in the circuit rises, है ना? अगर total current in the circuit rise करेगा, what will happen? The voltage consumed by the internal resistor will increase। बेटा अगर आपकी total current in the circuit will rise, what will happen? The voltage V consumed by the internal resistance will increase। अगर आपका इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस ज्यादा वोल्टेज खाएगा, व्हाट विल हैपन? द टर्मिनल पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस और द वोल्टेज प्रोवाइडेड टू दिस रेजिस्टर विल डिक्रीज। सर आप ऐसा क्यों कह रहे हैं? ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, द टर्मिनल पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस कैपिटल V इज इक्वल टू व्हाट? EMF E minus the voltage consumed by the internal resistor. अगर internal resistor ज़्यादा voltage खा रहा है, the terminal potential difference will decrease. Simple. है ना, terminal potential difference will decrease. ये इसी तरह है कि let's suppose the EMF is 10 volts. हम assume कर लेते हैं कि भाई EMF 10 volts है. Okay, let's assume that EMF is 10 volts. In the initial scenario, if the EMF was 10 volts, loss volts हमारा या voltage consumed by the internal resistance was 2, terminal potential difference आ गया 8. Now, when the resistance has decreased, जब current increase हो गया है, what will happen? This small little value increases 10 minus 4. The terminal potential difference becomes 6 volts. To understand everything step by step, हो क्या रहा है? First of all, as you increase the temperature, the resistance of the thermistor decreases. As the resistance of the thermistor decreases, the total resistance of the circuit decreases. जैसे ही total resistance of the circuit decrease करेगा बेटा, क्या होगा? The total current in the circuit increases. जैसे ही total current in the circuit increase हो रहा है बच्चे, the voltage consumed by the internal resistance increases. As the voltage consumed by internal resistor increases, a small value of V increase हो रही है. Can you realize the terminal potential difference capital V will decrease? क्यों? क्योंकि capital V terminal potential difference is equals to what? EMF minus the small v. अगर small v increase कर रहा है तो capital V decrease कर जाएगा. Terminal potential difference V decreases. Okay. अब आपको ये पता चल गया कि terminal potential difference V decrease हो रहा है, but still you cannot connect this dot कि small v decrease होने की वजह से current क्यों decrease हो रहा है. Let's analyze one thing. V is equals to IR. Can you realize the resistance of this resistor is constant? That means voltage becomes directly proportional to current. अगर आपका terminal potential difference decrease हो रहा है, the current in this resistor decreases. This is a detailed answer. Let's write it down slowly. Take it easy. No need to panic. First of all, you will say as the I am trying to make my writing as short as possible so that I can write a complete 3 to 4 mark answer. As the temperature increases, the resistance of the thermistor decreases, causing the total resistance to decrease. इसकी वजह से total resistance क्या हो जाएगी? Decrease. This causes the current in the circuit to increase. Hence, the voltage consumed by the internal resistor, that is a small r, internal resistor, that is small r, increases, and the terminal potential difference, capital V, decreases. Last and final statement. Terminal potential difference decrease or a last and final statement, what will you say? Since capital R or resistance is constant as terminal potential difference decreases, current in R decreases. Simple. You can further make sure that your handwriting is as small as possible to write every single detail in your answer. Let me try and make myself happy. Let's make, huh, let's write answer that exactly fills in the lines. Okay. Let's further see क्या लिखा हुआ है. The electromotive force E of the cell is 1.5 volts. Okay. The internal resistance is this. The resistor R has a resistance of this. Okay. At a particular temperature, the at a particular temperature of the thermistor, the current in R is this. Okay. For this temperature of the thermistor, determine the current in the cell. Okay, you have to determine the current in the cell. How will you determine that? हमें पता है कि current in the resistor R is this. Let's move ahead. Okay, here we have done a lot of working. I would suggest you guys to take a screenshot because I'm about to erase all of this because I need it for the next question. Okay. The current in R is what? R में current क्या है भाई? Let's see. The current in R is 0.2 ampere. Okay, so let's mark things. Mark करते जाते हैं क्या लिखा हुआ है. Okay. Current in R is 0.2 ampere. The EMF is 1.5. Okay. And what else is given? The internal resistance is 0.12 ohm. ठीक है. Internal resistance आ गई 0.12 ohm. Perfect. What else do we have? The resistance R has a resistance of 6 ohm. Okay. This is a resistance of 6 ohm. So what else do we have? No, that's it. Okay. So you have to determine the current in the cell. How will you do that? Very, very easy. Chalo dekhte hain. First of all, can you calculate the voltage consumed by this resistor? है ना? Can you calculate voltage consumed by this resistor? Can you calculate the terminal potential difference for that matter? Yes. Current into resistance. Current की वैल्यू क्या है? 0.2. Resistance की वैल्यू क्या है बेटा? 6. This comes out to be 1.2 volts as your terminal potential difference. As I have told you earlier, how can we calculate the voltage consumed by this internal resistor? हाँ जी बताया था कुछ पिछले सवाल में. I told you that terminal potential difference is equal to EMF minus a small v. If I want to calculate a small v, how will I rearrange this equation? Take a small v to the left hand side, capital V to the right hand side. A small v is equal to EMF minus the terminal potential difference. EMF is 1.5, terminal potential difference is 1.2. Voltage in the internal resistor comes out to be 0.3. Let's put it in a neat and tidy place. Let's put it here. Perfect. अब आपको पता चल गया कि voltage in the internal resistance is 0.3 volts. Perfect. The internal resistance has a resistance of 0.12 ohm. Can you calculate the current in the cell? Yes. V is equals to I total into R. What is the voltage in the internal resistance? 0.3. You have to calculate the total current in the cell. Resistance is 0.12. Divide कर दो. 0.3 divided by 0.12 is equals to your current total. Can you somehow calculate this answer? This comes out to be 2.5 ampere. The total current in the cell comes out to be 2.5 ampere. Easy peasy. You can take this entire working and keep it in the first part. ठीक है. इस पूरी वर्किंग को हम ले जाते हैं सुकून से फर्स्ट पार्ट में रख देते हैं. लाइक दिस. परफेक्ट. एंड ऑल्सो यहाँ पे हम एक और वर्किंग भी रख देते हैं. दैट इज ये वाली वर्किंग. लेट्स पुट इट हियर. परफेक्ट. ओके. अब आपने क्या कैलकुलेट करना है? You have to calculate the resistance of the thermistor. How will you calculate the resistance of the thermistor? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Can you realize if this branch was receiving 1.2 volts? बेटा ये branch भी 1.2 volts receive करेगी. That means the voltage consumed by the thermistor is 1.2 volts. And we also know that the total current was equal to what? 2.5 ampere. Out of the 2.5 ampere, फर्स्ट ब्रांच इज गेटिंग 0.2 एम्पियर। बेटा ये सेकंड ब्रांच में कितना करंट आएगा? 2.5 माइनस 0.2 दैट इज 2.3 एम्पियर। सेकंड ब्रांच में थर्मिस्टर वाली ब्रांच में कितना करंट आ गया? 2.3 एम्पियर्स। राइट इट डाउन। द करंट इन द thermistor is 2.5 minus 0.2 that is 2.3 amperes. What is the voltage in the thermistor? 1.2 volts. Can you somehow calculate the voltage across the resistance of the thermistor? Yes. V is equals to IR. Voltage क्या है भाई? 1.2. Current क्या है? 2.3. Can you calculate R? 1.2 divided by 2.3 is equals to your value of R. Calculate it. Calculate it. This comes out to be 0.52 ohms. Simple. Easy peasy. Nothing complicated. आगे बढ़ते हैं. The nuclide 3,1 is an isotope of hydrogen that is tritium. Okay. Determine the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in a neutral atom of tritium. Always remember, if you have a neutral atom, the number of protons and electrons will be same. How many protons do we have? One. So proton 1 है तो electron भी 1 होंगे. How many number of neutrons do we have? Mass number minus the proton number, that is equals to the number of neutrons, that is 2. Perfect. Draw a label diagram to represent a simple model of the arrangement of protons, neutrons, and electrons in a tritium atom. So first of all, remember, protons and neutrons are inside the nucleus. Let's say this is your nucleus. Perfect. Protons and neutrons. We have two protons, one neutron. Okay, so this is your proton, this is your neutron, this is your neutron. And on the outside, you have electrons. One electron, one electron. X is representative of electrons. Simple. This is a simple model which you can show to get the 2 on 2 here. ठीक है? चलो जी. No, I think we have one electron. ना एक गलती हमने कर दी. Okay, we have one electron. Let's erase this. Because one electron only. Okay, perfect. Tritium is radioactive and undergoes beta negative decay to form an isotope of helium. Gamma radiation is not emitted, okay, during this decay. Okay, so complete this equation. We have to complete this equation. We know that we are undergoing beta negative decay. Okay, अगर आप beta negative decay कर रहे हो, what will happen? Proton number increases by 1. Mass number remains unchanged. State the name of the particle X. Whenever beta negative particles are emitting, an anti neutrino particle is also emitted together. ये कौन सा particle है? Anti neutrino. Perfect. Determine the core composition of a tritium nucleus. Okay, in a tritium nucleus, we have one proton, two neutrons. What is the core composition of a proton? Hanji. Up quark, down quark. What is the core composition of a neutron? Up quark, down quark, down quark. But since we have two neutrons, हमने दो से multiply कर दिए. तो two up quarks, two down quarks. Add all of them. यहाँ पे two up quarks हैं. The total up quarks comes out to be what? ये 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 up quarks. And total down quarks कितने ये भी देख लेते हैं. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 down quarks. Simple. 2 on 2 here. This marks the end of this lecture. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat below.